Hey guys, beautiful spring day here. Fort Collins, Colorado is where we're filming today. We're pretty close to Roland Moore Park. We've got lilacs blooming right over here. They smell so nice. Wish you guys could smell it. There's a storm coming in, so hopefully we're going to beat that and get this review done. We might be riding in the rain later. So today we're looking at the Spark Cycleworks Bandit, and it is not an electric bike. And then they're very upfront about this on their website. They say, hey, this is not an electric bike, it's a moped. It is the first street legal electric moped that is fully street legal in all 50 states in the US. It's registered with the Department of Transportation. You get VIN plates, you get a certificate of origin. This is the first electric moped that I have seen like this, and I'm really excited about it for a few reasons. One is you can actually register it as a low power scooter. It's much easier to get insurance. It's easier and safer to ride legally in the street with traffic. I've been able to get up to higher speeds on this than really anything else that I've ridden, except for the Del Fast Top, which was more of a motorcycle than anything else, right? So another reason I'm excited about this being a legal electric moped is that there's a lot of competing products that call themselves electric bikes that say, oh hey, this is an e-bike, but it's got a huge powerful motor and battery, and it can go 30-35 miles per hour, and it weighs 90 pounds. Those vehicles, they're kind of in a legal gray area. They're too fast and powerful for riding on bike paths, or in the bike lane, but you can't register it like a scooter. And so if you were pulled over by the police, you could potentially get in trouble. There's not a lot of laws that really apply to those. So I got to hand it to the Spark Cycleworks team for going the extra mile, getting it registered with the Department of Transportation, and some of their extra touches to make it a little bit more sturdy and safe to actually ride in the street as a moped. We've got the full setup here. You've got mirrors, you've got turn signals, you've got a very bright headlight up here. This is a 2600 lumen headlight. That's the same lumens that you're going to get in a standard car headlight. So those are very bright. You've got tail light with brake light activation and turn signals. I would like it if the tail light was a little bit brighter. It's not super bright, but it gets the job done. And the layout of the cockpit is they just did an awesome job here, right? Everything is very easy to reach from the grips without having to shift your hand way into the side. And even though these mirrors are short, they are positioned to the outsides of the handlebar far enough and set far enough out that you can actually see really well. Normally on these smaller mini bike style vehicles, the mirrors are useless to me. I'm a tall rider, I'm 6'3". I'm just not able to see anything. A lot of times they're positioned kind of awkwardly because they have a lot of other stuff crowding onto the handlebars, and Spark Cycleworks has been able to work around all of that, and for a cockpit that just fits really nice. Some of that's the choice of the BMX-style handlebars here, which I'm a big fan of, partly because they elevate the handlebars up quite a bit from the stem there, so you can sit upright nice and comfy. They have the display mounted down here, so it's not taking up any of your top handlebar real estate. So if you wanted to mount your phone, maybe a speaker or something like that, you could put that up on the top bar. You get a USB port on the right side of the display, so if you want to charge your phone, maybe you got some extra lights or you're powering that speaker. So there's a lot of good options there, some good real estate to work with. The whole cockpit and really the whole vehicle feels nice to me. It feels like it was designed and built by a team that understands riding mopeds. And that is the Spark Cycleworks team. So a little bit more about the company. They're a small company, small team based out of Branford, Connecticut, and they are all very passionate about mopeds and electric bikes. If you follow their YouTube channel and check out their website, you'll see that they're really into it. This is designed and built by people who ride them all the time. And so it just fits nice. Like riding it feels very comfortable. There's not any aspects of the design that to me feel clunky or out of place or poorly thought out, or maybe like they were designed by somebody who hasn't actually ridden the vehicle. This feels like the real deal. You even get passenger foot pegs on here that snap out if you want to carry a passenger with you. A nice long banana seat here, so you can carry a passenger, or if you are riding by yourself, you can strap a bag or maybe some other cargo on the back there. 300-pound weight limit on here, so you can fit two pretty well. And I have tried taking a passenger. I weigh about 200 pounds, so I have to take a small passenger, right? But I found someone small to ride on there with me. And if you're riding two people and really pushing that weight limit, then that will cut into your top speed. But still quite easy to do. Speaking of top speed, this thing, they say on their website that it can go 30 plus miles per hour. And I would say emphasis on the plus, because if you're motivated and you like to pedal, you can get this thing really cruising. So they've got a custom 60-tooth chainring up here. That is a monster, and it's made specifically for high-speed pedaling. This is another area where this is quite a bit different from some competing, electric bike, moped style vehicles that I've ridden. It's a very basic Shimano freewheel. It's a 7-speed, 14 to 28 teeth, not a huge range, but most other mini bikes are using a smaller chainring up front, maybe a 48 or a 52-tooth chainring. So you can't get quite as high speed out of it compared to this 60-tooth one here. And Spark Cycleworks says on their website, this is for high-speed pedaling, it's not for getting started. So they understand that if you're riding a mini bike like this, they're not very comfortable to pedal. You're not going to be starting out pedaling. You're not going to be relying on the pedal drivetrain. You're going to be relying on your electrical system. So the pedal part of it here is for getting some exercise and for going fast. I was able to get up to 45 miles per hour with pedaling. So I could ride with traffic on some of our streets here in Fort Collins have a speed limit of 40. And so I was able to easily keep up with traffic with that. It feels great riding at high speed. It is full suspension, and the suspension here is geared towards heavier loads and towards riding in the city. So it's not adjustable. There's no preload or rebound dampening or anything like that, but it's nice. I mean, it's good stuff. So these are standard motorcycle suspension back here that you could just swap out if you want something maybe that's a little bit taller to kind of raise your seating position up a bit, or just a little bit more travel. Very easy to swap out here. You get, I'm guessing around 80 to 100 millimeters of travel in each, the rear and the front. Great for riding in the city. Good city tires too. These are the Canada Craze Street that you see on a lot of similar mini bikes. So they don't have puncture protection per se, but they do have thicker tread. They should do fine on any around town environments. Not really built for off-roading though. I would like to see some reflective sidewall striping on the tires here. That's really great for visibility. Most collisions happen because you get hit from the side. And since it's a black bike, I love the look of it. All black. It looks sleek, looks awesome, but it's a little bit difficult to see from the side. So some reflective striping on the tires would go a long ways. The brakes here are Tektro hydraulic disc brakes. These are the HD E350s that you see on a ton of electric bikes. So they are e-bike specific. They come with motor inhibitors so that when you squeeze those brake levers, then it cuts off power to the motor. That way you're not fighting the motor if you forgot that you're holding down the throttle, or the Cadence Sensor is still active and propelling it forward. 203 millimeter rotors on the front and the rear here. So these are nice and big for great heat dissipation, bigger than what I've seen on a lot of competing mini bikes that have only 180 millimeter rotors on there. So you get a little bit more stopping power there. Nice job on the cable management up here too. We've got these nice thick cable wraps to just kind of keep everything controlled, and it does route through the frame right here, which again helps it look just a little bit more sleek. Now the fenders that you get here, they're a little bit on the short side. I would like to see just a little bit longer fender coverage. As you can see, the front one ends right here, so it gets a lot of mud all over the bottom of the down tube there and those cables. And it's kind of a similar situation if you come back here to the rear. The fender does a nice job protecting the controller area, just a lot of the bike's components, but it ends right here under the seat, which means that the rear tire can still fling mud and water up and hit you in the back and get all over your lights in the back of the seat. So I would like to see a little bit more fender coverage, but it's still better to have some fenders than none. And these are nice sturdy steel fenders. Now a nice advantage of steel is that it's got some vibration damping qualities, so it's not going to rattle nearly as much as plastic might, or even aluminum alloy ones. The downside of steel is that it can ding and kind of get dented and rust if it does get the paint chipped. So if you do get chips on there, you might want to slap some tape on it just to protect it until you can apply some touch-up paint. The cranks are Pro Wheel. These are forged alloy cranks, and they are full size, which means 170 millimeter length on here. Some mopeds and mini bikes will have shorter cranks just because you don't want to get pedal strikes. So when you're turning, pedal strikes can happen if the pedal, you know, hits the ground. And this is pretty low to the ground, so you want to be cautious about pedaling while you are turning. Now the group set on here, this is a Shimano Tourney, so this is entry level from Shimano. It's still a solid derailleur, and as I mentioned, on a bike like this, you're going to be relying on the electrical drivetrain more than anything. So you don't need a super high-end group set or cassette back here. This is more than sufficient, and I've found it perform well as I've been riding around town, and I've put about 50 miles on it so far. You get a kickstand as well. It's adjustable length, so if you do need to adjust that for any reason, you can. I don't love the placement because it's near the center here, which means that when you cycle the cranks backwards, you get pedal lock. It's going to bonk into it there. You can see it's already kind of gotten scratched up a little bit. So if you're maneuvering it in the garage, that can be a pain. If you need to put grease on your chain, that's also difficult because you need someone to help balance the bike, since it does weigh quite a bit. It weighs 87 pounds, which for these powerful mini bike style vehicles, that's not bad. That's pretty average. It's going to be difficult if you need to move it upstairs and store it inside, or maybe, you know, transport it in a vehicle. It's really too big and heavy to fit on an electric bike rack or any kind of a bicycle rack. You'd need something that's intended more for motorcycles if you do have to transport it in a vehicle. Something important to note here is that Spark Cycleworks does not have any dealers, so you'd have to buy it online through their website, and they ship it to you, and then you have to assemble it. Now, assembly was a pretty straightforward process for me. It's actually one of the easiest ones that I've put together, and it didn't even come with the manual just because they're just getting started with production, and so they didn't have the manual ready yet, and they wanted to get me this bike as soon as possible, but I was still able to get it figured out. The front wheel was already on, so that was a huge help. Normally you have to put the front wheel on and get the brakes lined up, and usually they're not quite aligned right, so you have to do some fiddling with the brakes, and there could be all kinds of extra stuff that you have to put together. So here, you really just had to, you know, put on the pedals, put on the handlebar up here, mount the display, and the headlight. Pretty straightforward. If you've assembled electric bikes before, it'll be a breeze. If you've never put one together before, you might you at least need a second helper for, you know, getting it out of the box and holding it while you mount the handlebars and stuff like that. Still though, for assembling a bike, not too bad. Now, something else to note with that is you can be on your own a bit more with support since you don't have dealers. So if you had problems with the pedaling side of the drivetrain or the brakes, you could take that into a bike shop and they would be able to work on it. I mean, these are standard components from Shimano and Tektro. But if you have problems with the electronics, then you'd have to work with Spark Cycleworks remotely, and you know, it might be difficult getting repairs if you do need to make them. You do get a warranty here. You get a 1-year comprehensive warranty, which is pretty standard for vehicles like this. Okay, let's talk about the electronics a bit more, because that really is the main feature of this vehicle. So the motor back here, this is a 1500 watt geared hub motor. Now this is a custom designed motor. I don't know who they worked with for designing it, but I do know that they custom designed it, even designed their own steel gears for it. 1500 watt motor here that can peak up at 2400 watts. And so it's capable of propelling the bike up to at least easily speeds of 30 miles per hour and beyond. And the battery here is massive, 48 volts, 24.5 amp hours, which nets you 1176 watt hours. This is one of the highest capacity batteries that I have seen on any electric vehicle, using Samsung 35E cells, which is great. Samsung has some of the best cells in the business. I'm gonna get the keys out so we can pop it off here. So it does lock into place. You just turn the key here, and then it can slide out. Now there is a nice little sort of a handle on the top so that it's easy to carry. And you know, it only weighs about 13 pounds, which is surprising for the capacity. It's better than some, it weighs less than some lower capacity batteries that I have worked with. I will get this back on here. So you pull it back like that to, you know, get it snugly into place, and then turn the key to lock it in. Make sure you've got it all set. There is a power switch for it on the right side there. You can turn it off or on, and then there's the charge port. It seals in quite well, which is good. You don't want dust or water or anything getting into that charge port. Okay, let's take a look at the display, cockpit, all the controls here. The shifter is the Shimano SIS Index. This is a thumb shifter. They're very easy to shift even if you're wearing heavy gloves. Nice good readout window there so that you can see what gear you're in. Works great on a bike like this, and it's also quite easy to reach from that right grip. So we'll go ahead and fire on the bike. So here's your control pad for the electronics here. You got your power button here. You hold that down and then that will fire up the display. I may have to reshoot this inside. The display is not very bright. That's one complaint that I have here, and this display is shared by quite a few other electric bike models, and it's always the same thing for me. It's not very bright. There's no way to get into like an options or settings menu on the display to configure it, so you can't really do much tweaking with it, which for the most part is fine. I'd like it to be a bit brighter. You get a lot of good readouts on here though. You've got your real-time speed, and then I think if you press the power button here, nope, it's the M button will switch to average speed, and then max speed, and then back around to real-time speed. And then by pressing the power button, you can cycle the bottom readout there from odometer to time, which is the time that the bike has been powered on for this current session. And then you can see your trip miles, which are the same as the odometer for me because I have not reset them. And then back out to odometer. So I've put 63 miles on this bike since I got it from Spark Cycleworks. You get a wattage readout for the motor there. There's your battery level up in the top right. Now it is an animated infographic, so it's fairly dynamic. It compared to some e-bike displays might have like 4 or 5 bars, which is not very precise, but this one ends up not being very precise either. Like a lot of e-bikes, it will fluctuate under load, so if you are really juicing the throttle and going fast, your battery's going to drop a bunch, and then once you stop driving, maybe you're at a stop sign, then it jumps back up. It can be really difficult to tell how much power you actually have left, and may introduce a little bit of range anxiety, so you want to get a good feel for it and how long you can ride, and keep an eye on your odometer to prevent that. You got your assist level there on the right. So right now it's at 0, and even though it's in 0, the throttle is still live, so you get full throttle assist from any assist level, whether you've got it turned on or off. And if you're in assist level 1, you can still hold down the throttle and get all the way up to top speed. In my opinion, that is a great throttle configuration, because if you're pedaling at a low level assist and you suddenly need to accelerate, either to avoid collision with something or maybe catch up with a friend, then you can just hit the throttle. You don't have to fiddle with the controls for your display. And having it in 0 is nice too if you're riding with a group and riding slowly, but you just want to use the throttle every now and then. Very easy to do that. Now the assist levels are for pedal assist only, and they effectively set your top speed. So if you are in assist level 1, then pedaling you'll get up to about 20 miles per hour before the motor cuts off, and it basically goes every 5 miles per hour after that. So if you pump it up to assist level 2, then you can get up to about 25 miles per hour, and then 3 is 30, 4 is about 35, and if you really want to push it past that, then you can bump it up into 5, which is unlimited essentially. And so I was able to get up to about 45 miles per hour before I was reaching the limits of my cadence in the highest gear. I like that setup a lot as well, because if you're riding with a group of friends, or let's say you need to ride on a bike path for a little bit, you could put it in assist level 1, limit yourself to 20 miles per hour, be able to ride safely while you are on the bike path. That about sums it up, for the readout here. There's a clock there too, but it's way off, and I don't know how to set it. I think these displays, you have to plug it into a computer to really be able to configure them at all. So for the rest of the controls, you've got a standard motorcycle control set right up here that's got the lights on top, and it's actually got indicator lights, which I love. So you can see the little blue light there. That means the headlights are on. Let's take a look there. Nice and bright twin beam headlight, and you can adjust them up and down if you need to. Make sure that you're aiming at the road and not blinding anyone. And that means that the rear lights are on as well. As I mentioned, not very bright. You just get the 2 LEDs off on both sides here, but at night they're a lot more visible, and they are brake activated, so if I squeeze the brake levers, it brightens up a bit more. And you get turn signals. So if you turn on a turn signal, you can hit your left one here, and it turns the green light on, so it helps you to remember that you've got your turn signals on, because you do have to turn those off manually like you would on a motorcycle. They've got this nice little animation up here, pretty visible from the front, and then the rear ones, not very visible. It's you can see it's pretty small on the side there. During the day, I doubt that anyone can see it, but it will help you out some at night. You gotta hit this again to turn off the turn signal, and then you've got a horn on the bottom. And it's bright. It's positioned right underneath the seat there. Nice and bright. You'll be able to catch people's attention with that, even if they're driving a car, so you can let people know if they're merging in on top of you, which does happen sometimes. People in cars just have a tendency to not see you if you're on a motorcycle or a moped, so don't be afraid to use your horn. Overall, I love the frame design here. Nice thick tubing. It all feels very sturdy, especially at high speed. I like the positioning where you have the battery and the controller and everything very low down and center. That gives you a nice center of gravity for the whole bike. Helps to feel more stable, helps with maneuvering. You've got a triple clamp design for the fork up here. So nice and wide. These are super stable, and that's, you know, something that you might see on a motorcycle rather than the typical fork design that you would see on an electric bike. I do wish that there was maybe some mount points or just some like latch points on the back if you do want to carry some cargo with you. Since the seat's big, you can strap a bag or something else on the back, but fastening it down can be a little finicky. I used some bungee cords and ended up just kind of like double wrapping around, and I think I like hooked it up and onto this thing here. You could come down and hook it onto the chain stay area, but there's, you know, the cable for the shifter down there, and then on the other side there's the motor cable. You don't want to mess anything up. So it'd be awesome if we had some mount points for setting a rack on there, because I could see this being a really attractive vehicle for delivery drivers. It's got the speed, it's got nice high range on it. With the standard battery pack, they say anywhere from, you know, 20 to, you know, maybe as much as 40 to 60 miles if you're riding in the lower levels of assist. But if you're, you know, going fast and really juicing it, it's going to be more like 20 miles, which I think is accurate based on my experience with it. But if you want more range, they've got a dual battery pack where you can put another battery right up here. You've got lots of space on those top tubes right up there. So you can add a second battery, it gets wired in. You can greatly increase your range. It's not quite as high capacity as the main battery, so you're not doubling it, but you could make that 20-mile minimum, maybe 30 or 35. And then they've even got a dual motor option, so you can get another motor up there in the front wheel. That's seems a bit much for me since this one's already very powerful, but I could see that being pretty fun depending on the type of riding that you want to do. All right, well, it's time to do some test riding. We're gonna do a couple laps just in the parking lot here first. I wanted to show you the Cadence Sensor and just talk a little bit about the seating position, and then I'm gonna switch over to the chest mount so we can ride this, do some high-speed stuff, do what it's meant to do. The Cadence Sensor, you can see it right down here. This is a sealed Cadence Sensor, 12 magnets. Now, having it sealed is nice compared to some vehicles that have a unsealed sensor. That's the big ring that has some magnets in it. So this one is sealed. The magnets aren't going to fall out. It's more protected from weather. That's the way to do it. Now, cadence sensors measure cadence. As the cranks go around, they just measure those revolutions, so it doesn't matter how much pressure you put onto the pedals, which is good here because the seating position is not very comfortable. It's difficult to put a lot of pressure and effort into pedaling. Like, the seating position is amazing. I'm nice, I'm upright, it feels comfortable. For pedaling, I've got the pedal all the way down at the lowest level, and I mean, obviously I'm not going to get full leg extensions here, right? And then when I've got it you know, kind of up here at the highest, my knees are up here pretty high, you know, kind of knees into the chest pedaling experience. So it's not fun to pedal, but it's a mini bike. It's, you know, it's a moped. It's not, you're not meant to just ride it around pedaling. If you wanted to, you can, you know, maybe you didn't plan ahead and you ran out of battery and you have to pedal at home. So I've got it in assist level 0 there. I'm gonna go ahead and shift down, get into easiest gear here, so I can pedal it. It's not comfy, and especially if you had any hills to go up on your way home, this wouldn't be very comfortable, and you're not going to be able to get going very fast, but you can still ride it like this, and it'll be just fine. You know, I'm getting up to what, like 8-9 miles per hour, and I would honestly just leave it in first gear and ride it like this. So it'd be a pretty long trip home, but if you have to, you can do it. All right, we're going to bump up to a level of just level 1 assist on here, and as soon as I do, like, it takes off. The assist is kind of interesting in level 1 because it doesn't limit motor power. it just limits the motor speed. So you can accelerate very quickly to 20 miles per hour, and then after that, it'll just kind of fade out, and you can just cruise along at 20 miles per hour. It can feel a little bit jarring when the battery is full. Like any electric bike, you get significantly more power with a full battery than you would with, say, a half, or once you get down below half, it starts to really noticeably drop off. So I'm gonna start us off pedaling here in assist level 1, just so you can see how aggressively it kicks in here. And you can also see the delay. Cadence sensors have a delay. You have to cycle the pedals around 1 or 2 revolutions before it notices that you're going. So here we go. We'll just start out pedaling, and there it goes. And we're already going 20 miles per hour. Fast acceleration. I like it. It's fun. It feels super zippy. If you're not used to it, that might feel a little bit jarring. And what I recommend is you don't start out with pedaling anyways. You start out with the throttle. That's really what these bikes are designed to do. So if you're, at a complete standstill, here, let me get moved over here. So if you are at a complete standstill, then you hit the throttle first, just to start moving. Then you can start pedaling, and then boom, there you go, you're cruising. The throttle is variable, which means that if you just give it a little bit of throttle, then you will just get a little bit of speed. So you can just kind of feather the throttle a little bit instead of hitting it all the way down, and then that acceleration will be a lot less jarring. Motor noise on this is about what you would expect for a hub motor. It sounds very similar to just comparable electric mini bikes. I'm gonna just go on the throttle here just so you can listen to that. That was up to 20 miles per hour. Obviously, it's going to be louder if you get going faster, but pretty standard for hub motors. People are going to notice you, and you stand out quite a bit just from the appearance of this one anyways. The brakes feel great. I mean, whether you're high speed, low speed, whatever. I mean, they're hydraulic disc brakes, which means they're very easy to actuate the levers compared to mechanical. Much more stopping power, much less maintenance. Got those big, huge 203mm rotors up there. Okay, time for the fun part. I have got the chest mount on. We are going to test out the speed here. So first we're going to do just a little ride along the bike path here. So I've got it in assist level 1. I don't know if you can see the display there, but I've got an assist level 1, which is going to limit the top speed to 20 miles per hour. That way we'll be able to ride safely on the bike trail. Don't want to be endangering any other riders on there. All right, yeah, let's get going. It's important to remember that when you have it in assist level 1, it limits the top speed for pedaling only. So if you were using the throttle, you could still accelerate quite a bit past 20 miles per hour. So keep it to pedaling only. Pedaling feels pretty comfortable with the electric assist. I'm able to cruise at 20 like this with a little bit of effort, but it's certainly not exhausting. And on my motor wattage readout there, I can see that it's sitting right at about 500 or 600 watts of output to maintain this speed. So of course, if you needed to ride a long way, really wanted to maximize your range, then this would be the way to do it. Keeping it in assist level 1, and then you could get anywhere from 40 to 60 miles out of it on a single charge. Now that we're coming onto city streets here, I'm gonna bump it up to level 3 on my pedal assist, which equates to 30 miles per hour top speed with pedal assist. And there we are, right at 30. And we've got a nice steep hill right up here, so we're gonna do a little hill climbing test and see how much power we get. So yeah, it's a pretty decent incline here. There's not a lot of steep hills in Fort Collins, so this is one of the best one I've found. Get turned around here. So we're gonna go up this just on the throttle here. So I'm just rolling at a few miles per hour, gonna hit the throttle. And it is no problem. We're just accelerating right up the hill. We're just at 20 miles per hour. So even without pedaling, you'll be able to tackle inclines, no problem. The motor puts out 95 Newton meters of torque, which is awesome for a hub motor. That is solid. We're gonna do the throttle again, going back down here and really get some speed going. And we hit 40 miles per hour. I found 40 miles per hour is about the effective limit for the throttle, and that's like under good riding conditions. You know, maybe you've got a little bit of a tailwind, maybe a little bit of a downhill or at least flat ground and a full battery. You can get up to about 40 miles per hour on the throttle, but if riding conditions aren't as good, then it's going to be more 30 to 35 miles per hour. That's just the throttle, keep in mind, and that's about on par with most gas-powered scooters, like a Honda Metropolitan or a Vespa, that, you know, 30 to 35, maybe 40 if you really lean into it. But if you want to pedal, that's when you can really start to hit some high speeds. So that's what we're going to do. This is Prospect right up here. If you're familiar with Fort Collins, this is a fairly busy road here that's got some higher speed limits on parts of it. So I'm going to turn my headlights on, so I'm going to be riding with traffic, and I'm just going to bump up to level 4 for now. Well, actually not, let's just go, we're going to go all out. We'll just go all the way up to level 5 on the assist, and let's go do some riding up here. There's 40. My pedal cadence is pretty brisk at 40 miles per hour. It's not so fast as to be uncomfortable, but that's about my limit for comfortable pedaling. If you really put some effort into it, that's when you can get up to, 45 is my best yet, but it's hard to sustain that for very long. But as you can see, the acceleration is great. I'm able to keep pace with traffic here. So it's especially nice having a moped like this that's street legal, because you may have some streets where you can't ride a bike. So this is College Avenue in Fort Collins. It's one of our biggest streets here, and bicycles are not allowed for most of it. There's no bike lane. You're not supposed to ride in with traffic. You can't ride on the sidewalk. So you'll see signs like that all over the place that say no bikes. But since this is a street legal moped, we can just ride in the street. Since the rear turn signals are not very bright, I would recommend still use your hand signals when you're riding in traffic, especially if you've got cars behind you, just to make sure that they can see you and know which way you're turning. The suspension is on the stiff side, which feels really nice at high speed and on city streets, especially if you're carrying a passenger or some extra cargo. It's not designed for off-roading, so don't expect it to be good for that, but anything in town, speed bumps, if you accidentally hit a pothole or something like that, they do great. See if I can find us some bigger bumps to go over in here. Okay guys, if you are a big tall person and wondering like, hey, am I gonna fit on this thing? Is it gonna be comfortable? I've got my friend Hunter here who is 6'5", 6'4", 6'4", okay. So tall. Big dude, and so it's pretty comfortable to sit on, right?
Yeah, pretty cozy.
So yeah, go ahead and give it a whirl. I gave him the rundown on how it works. So we're just gonna let him tear around a bit and see what you think. It's all the way up in 7th gear since I was going fast.
Yeah. There we go. Whoa.
What do you think?
Really cool. Super cool. I think I'd probably raise the seat up just a tad.
Yeah, they have it's like standard motorcycle suspension, so you can, they're saying that you could adjust it. Yeah, so you could swap them out, and I mean it wouldn't really affect pedaling, but you could raise the seat up quite a bit. So we're gonna try this out with 2 people. We're probably a little bit over the weight limit, but you know, close enough. So this is my friend Jackie here, is gonna be riding passenger. All right, foot pegs to use. Okay. All right, here we go. So yeah, we fit for. How does it feel, Jackie? Like passenger wise?
Like honestly, not too bad. It's
enough room.
Enough room. The cushion's really nice. Overall,
they just straight yeah, like that. Yep.
Oh, okay. Uh-oh, my screen just went off.
Oh, it's fine. Yep.
I don't know if it's
still going.
Cool.
So that's where having the really stiff suspension comes in. If you are carrying cargo or a second person, it's going to perform quite a bit better. You're not going to be bottoming out on there. All right, folks, that's it for today for the Spark Cycleworks Bandit. If you got some questions about this, you can chime in the comments section below here. You can also check the video description for a link to the full written review, and back on ElectricBikeReview.com, we've got our forums where you can connect with other riders. We've also got a Spark Cycleworks specific forum on there. Thanks for coming along with me today, guys. Ride safe. I will see you next time.